Welcome back. In this video, we are going to solve another one of the important programming challenge of Hackerrank, and name of this programming challenge is Reverse a Doubly linked list. With this programming challenge, we will get a test case as an input. Okay, for example, here I have given one test case. That means only one following format we are going to follow. One linked list output we are going to get in this one. So then, and after that, next one is we are going to give the number of linked list data that we wanted to provide. Number of linked list data we will get as an input. For example, here I have given as a 4. So the 4 linked list numbers will be 1, 2, 3, 4. This one will be considered as a test case, and this 4 we can see the number of linked list. So I can point it out. Here it is n. So our initial linked list will look like this: 1, 2, 3, 4. And when it will reach the end of the linked list, it will point to the null value. Alright, so this is our problem. Now, by the name itself, you can see that reverse a doubly linked list. That means we have to just reverse this linked list and have to provide an output. So our output will be, this will be our output, just the reverse of the given input linked lists. Okay, so we saw the input, we also saw what is the problem and what is the output that we are going to provide with the help of an example. Now the next thing that we are going to see the constraint of this problem. Constraints are the test cases we will get between 1 to 10. Input we will get between 0 to 100. This n number of linked list, and the linked list data it will be between 0 to 1000. Okay, this will be our constraints. So we saw the constraints. Now the next thing that we are going to do is we are going to solve this programming challenge with the help of Java language. Okay, let's do that. To solve this problem, first of all, what am I going to do? I am going to take previous example as our input only. So only one test case, 4 linked list. 4 linked lists are 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so our initial linked list will look like this. Okay, so before we start writing the logic of this problem, what we are going to do first of all, we are going to iterate this data in our STS. So let's go there. Here in the STS, we can see that we are getting our linked list in the form of type of doubly linked list node, and the variable name we are passing through list. So first of all, we are going to iterate this data to see it is providing the correct data or not. For that, I am going to use while loop. Before we start executing the code and see that it is providing the correct data or not, here we can see that some error is coming because return statement is not added. So for now, I am going to return null. Alright, now let's execute the code to see data is correctly iterating or not. So one test case, 4 linked lists. 4 linked lists are 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Data is iterating properly. Now it's time to write our logic. So before writing our logic, what am I going to do? I am going to initialize 3 variables here. Let's say variable names I will keep it as next list and next list, and next list here I'm going to default value I will give it as that given input list only. Next, after that, the second variable we will keep it as previous. Okay, here I'm going to give default value null, and the third one I'm going to give current. Here again, the default value I will give it as given input list. Done. Now let's work on a logic. Here I have written while loop, and here inside a while loop we are going to work. Okay, now inside Spring Tool Suite we have taken 3 variables and we are assigning one data to another. So list here also in the current and list here also in next list. So here instead of list I can write current. Same thing I'm going to write it here. We don't need this SOB because we have already validated this iteration is working properly. So we can remove. Now, inside while loop, what am I going to do? I'm going to store next list data to next list dot next. Okay. After that, second one will be current dot next, and here I'm going to store previous data. Okay, and after that in previous I'm going to store current data. Okay, and this current anyway we are going to anyway moving it to next list dot next, so don't need to write current dot next. I'm going to write here next list. Okay, so this 4 points I have written. So to see how these 4 points work, what am I going to do? I am going to create a tabular structure. Here I am going to write next list. Second one is current dot next. Third one is previous. Fourth one is current. Okay, now next list dot next. What is the first one? First iteration is 1, while current not equal to null. So next list dot next. Next list we have initialized to list, so next list dot next will be 2. So 2 am I going to store here. Okay, now current dot next. What is that? Current dot next is previous data is going to store in current dot next. By default, what is the current dot next? By default, what is the previous? Previous, we can see that by default we have provided null. Okay, so here it will be null. Now what is previous? Previous we are going to store current data. So current is 1. Current is 1, and what will be the current? Current is next list dot next. Next list. Okay, next list is 2. So this is the first iteration. In the first iteration there are few points that we need to consider. First of all, we started data initialized with null value, that previous one, that is null. Okay, and after that it is pointing to the next data. What is the next data? Next data that it is pointing is 1. 1 is pointing to null here. We can check it out here, that previous is this one 1, and after that, before the previous data that was pointed into current dot next, that will be null. So we can write also like this, 1 pointed to null. This is the first iteration. Now let's go to the second iteration. Here current is 2, so next list dot next it will become 3. Okay, and current dot next it is going to store the previous data, that is 1. Okay, and previous is going to store the current is 2, and current is going to store the next list, that is 3. So now 2 is pointing to 1. We can check it out here. 2 is previous and 1 is current dot next, and current dot next is storing the previous data. This is the second iteration. Now let's see the third iteration. Third iteration is here you can see 3. So next list dot next, it will become 4. So current dot next 2, previous 3, and current it will become 4. So 3 is pointing to 2. Okay, again current not equal to null, so 4 it is there. So next list dot next, after 4 we can see that null is there, so we can, here it will be null, here it will be 3, here it will be 4, and here it will be null. Now next list, now it is, while iterating we can see that here it will check that current is null, so it will not go inside here, and in this section we can see that 4 is pointed out to 3, and this will be the last iteration. So what we can see that 4 is pointed to 3, 3 is pointed to 2, and 2 is pointed to 1, and 1 is pointed to null in the previous variable. So the same thing I can write like this: 4 is pointed to 3, 3 is pointed to 2, and 2 is pointed to 1, and 1 is pointed to null. And this was the previous variable data it is going to store. So this previous, if I am going to return, there is a possibility that I will get the reverse of the current given input. So this is the same logic that we are going to apply in the STS code. So let's do that. Next list dot next, second one will be current dot next. Here we are going to store previous. Again, after that in previous, we are going to store current, and in the current section we are going to store previous. And here, according to our logic, we will return previous, because previous is the only section which is returning the reverse of the given input. Now what we will do next, let's execute the code. Provide an input, one test case for a linked list, where linked lists are 1, 2, 3, 4. Now we can see that it is providing correct output 4, 3, 2, 1, just the reverse. Now what we are going to do, we are going to copy this code and paste it into Hackerrank console. Okay, but still here some error is coming. What is the error? This method reverse cannot be declared static. Static method can only be declared in a static or a top level type. So this error is coming because this is under class result. So what am I going to do? I am going to take this method outside of this class result. So it became outside. Now we can see that error is gone. Now let's run the code. All 3 test cases got successful. Let's submit the code. All the test cases got successful. So the logic that we have written it here is completely correct. Okay. Also, this is the end of this programming challenge. And again, in the next video, we are going to cover another one of the important programming challenge of Hackerrank. Okay. So stay tuned and keep watching Adhyan channel. Thank you.